hello. Hopefully, like the passengers this evening, you've enjoyed a very eventful Monaco Grand Prix. And we're just sat here on the apron at Nice Airport, just a few miles along the coast from Monaco. And we're about to take our exceedingly wealthy guests back to their home in the UK. So we're going to take this stunning, completely default Cessna Citation, Cessna 750 XP Citation back across the Mediterranean, across the full length of France, up through the almost the full length of England, up to Newcastle. Now it's a glorious evening here in Nice. Not much worse in the UK, just a bit cooler, so it should be a good flight. Now then, our guests are just stepping on board, and we need to now get this aircraft ready to go. So, because it's a default aircraft, I don't have any of the cool iPad checklists available to me. I'm just slipping this way. And then I need to figure out how do I shut this door. Any ideas? Click, 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 click. Oh, that looks like a handle. There we go. Nice. And in the back, you can see over here, we've got Austin from Laminar Research, which makes X-Plane. Likes to stick little Easter eggs into the sim. So to start an aircraft like this, first thing that we're going to do is we're going to turn on the master switch. So we're going to go down to the electrical system down here. I'm not an expert on this, but we will start to we will learn together how this works. So we'll start by switching on the batteries, get a little bit of life into the system. And then what we're going to do initially is we're going to jump over here. Oh, let's just make sure we've got the ELT armed. Does that work? No, it doesn't work. But we're going to start the APU in the tail. So we start the EPU in the tail first by APU in the tail first by turning on the master switch. Which means that we have electric power going to the APU, and then we hold the APU switch up. And you can see the RPM is increasing, the EGT is increasing. I can release that, and we should get an indication on the ICAS. So let's just power up the avionics and the ICAS. Do we get an APU view on here? Doesn't look like it, which is a shame. But we can just rely on this over here. So that says ready to load, which means we've now got a generator spinning in the APU. We can now get power off that, and we can get some air from that as well. So APU start, master switch is on, generator is on, so now we can apply some load to it. We're just going to turn on some air conditioning units. We'll start to hear that air start to flow into the system. And we also need to start loading our flight plan. We've got some red alerts on here. Let's just see what those are. So that's saying oil pressure low right and left engine, and the generators generators off left and right. That's fine. The engines are switched off right now, so that's not a huge surprise to us. Okay, position init. So the last position is 0 and 1. Why are these different? So GPS 1 is the one that we really want to look at. That's 4340. Let's stick that in there. Load. We're going to go to the flight plan. And origin is LFMN. Destination is EGNT. It's Newcastle. EGNT. we should. So we've got a flight plan which is called LF. So L France no, I think that was Monaco, but even though it is Nice. LFMN EGNT. EG is England, or Great Britain rather. N is North, and NT is Newcastle. So if we type that in, oh hang on, 01, 01, it's saved. Let's have a look at that route then. Save active flight plan. Has that just overwritten it? That would be quite annoying. One moment please, caller. Let me just see the last modified date. Where's the clock in here? 46. Yes, that's overwritten it. So we will just re-overwrite it. And then we will go to flight plan. How do I load a flight plan in here? Flight plan, flight 2. Clear that, delete that, clear all that, and put that into EGNT. So departing from runway 04 right, our flight plan suggests that we do a Badod 8 Alpha, which will be the Bado 8 Alpha on here. I'm going to activate that, and then we are going to go through this. That's going to take us to Badod and no further. Okay, so we're going to have to figure out how on earth do we get the flight plan into here. Performance plan, nope, it's definitely flight plan. Flight plan list. There we go. Show flight plan list. Oh, so we've named that delete now. That's marvellous. Well done. How do you go to the next page? Next. So we're looking for LFMN. LFMN EGNT01. Airac cycle. Have I missed an Airac cycle? I don't think I have. But it says I have, I must have done. Flight plan, and then if we go, so we've now got 13 pages of a flight plan. That's going to take us to Badod. I think we still need to set the SID, the standard instrument departure route, and then as we get more towards Newcastle, I do recognise those waypoints. So, so we're now running on the APU. And the aircraft is still saying why is everything switched off, which we'll change in just a moment. But first, I need to add some fuel. Now then, if I just show you what I'm doing, I'll go to toggle tablet. It just isn't working. Marvellous. Black flashing screen, that's not helpful. So I won't show you what's on the screen. I will take you to the weight and balance screen. The fuel that we'll be taking today is this kilos or pounds? Kilos or pounds? So that's very important. I don't think it says. Fuel on board. Talk amongst yourselves. No tankering recommended. Block fuel 7 tons. So is that likely to be? Oh no, it's payload weight. Let's take a few tons of that. Total internal weight. So about 7 tons. Just over half. For an aircraft like this, I think that's probably about right. So we'll say 7 tons. Done. Apply changes. Minimum takeoff fuel 6 tons, 605 pounds. So I would have to show you that, but Avital is just having a little bit of a wobbly. We've got our flight plan. We still need to do the departure route. So let's go into departure. It has selected runway 04, which is great. Brado 8 Alpha, was it? 8 Alpha, yeah. Activate all of that. And then we go into performance in it. Performance mode, full performance, of course. So we're going to climb at 270 knots or Mach decimal 78. Cruise at Mach decimal 85. Step increment 2000. Take off 400 landing fuel. Performance in trans altitude. Initial cruise altitude will be. Let's see what the flight plan says. Flight level. So this is going to take us to 340. 340, then up to 400 at Lawley. So 340, initial climb altitude. Fuel. I'll take that. Yep, just going to bring it from the gauge. Confirming it. Destination 1 hour 45 minutes, which is about right. It's about what we thought it would be. Takeoff is going to be steep descent. Yeah, it's alright, we'll handle a steep descent. Takeoff in it. That's right. Runway heading for 042 degrees, 7,000 feet or meters. Either way, more than enough for this aircraft. It's dry. Flaps 5. Total takeoff weight is going to be just under 30 tons. Zero fuel weight is going to be 24. Takeoff weight according to this is going to be 31, but that's assuming a payload of 2.3, which is higher than what I put in, I think. Baggage and cargo 0.5, 10 passengers. Takeoff weight 31. Possible extra 4.7. I think that's absolutely fine. So we'll confirm that. We'll initialize that. Climb rate. Speed 270 up to decimal Mach 85. Fuel remaining is going to be 6.2 at top of climb. Okay, that is good. Performance. We've done performance in it. We've done performance planning. Good to go. So we are currently on Unicom. Let's bring up the old X-Pilot. See if we've got anybody online. No. Nope, it's just us. Can you see anybody around though? Hear the sound of the APU? Okay, so we will still do our calls. We do have a few aircraft on X-Pilot, so we are going to taxi on Uniform Victor. Uniform cross runway 04 left on Victor, and maybe we should do, is that Charlie 2? That looks like Charlie 2. So where are we? Uniform onto whiskey to the holding point. Uniform whiskey holding point. Okay. So that aircraft should be somewhere over there in the distance. I just can't see it. So now we need to get our engines turning. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take these throttle levers out of fuel cutoff, which is the thing that I always forget, and then wonder why the engines aren't starting. It's because the engines have been in fuel cutoff mode. Next, we are going to stop providing air conditioning to the cabin for just a moment. So we're going to turn off the packs, turn off the cabin packs. We've got high pressure and low pressure bleed air. I'm not sure which of those is actually the APU bleed. I think that's just this thing on the right hand side. So bleed air, don't need max cool, I just need to have some kind of pressure in the duct. So if we now go across to our engine start panel, which is here, first thing we need to do is, we don't need the generators on yet. We want to engine start, left engine. We want ignition to be normal, and we're going to start watching the N2, which is increasing. N1 is increasing. The turbine temperature is increasing. We have EGT as well as turbine temperature. I don't see it, but my eyes may be failing me. So this is looking like a stabilising engine to me. Has our starter lights gone out? Yes, they have. So we'll now start the right-hand engine. It's not allowing us. Maybe what we need to do is engage the right-hand generator first, and then we'll start the right-hand engine. For N2, turbine temperature is ambient. N1's increasing. Fuel flow per hour is still 0, but once that starts to increase, we'll see the turbine temperature going up as well, which we are. The N1 fan speed is also increasing. Guessing that center transfer off, right and left, which is fuel panel, which is here. So the cross feed is off. Center, I'll put that into the normal position. That should get rid of those alerts. We've now got two well started engines. We do have generator left off, that's why our master caution light is on. So we're going to turn the left hand generator on. That gets rid of the alert, but not the caution, so we'll get rid of that too. And then we need to do some radios, and we need to put some lights on. So ignition's off, external power's off. Whereabouts are my other lights? Here we go. So we've got lights, anti-skid is a normal. We need our nav lights on. We need our recognition light on, which is our beacon. Ground, rec, anti-collision. Yeah, whatever. Seatbelt signs are on. Floodlight is on, so we should be lit up like a Christmas tree now. Kind of. I've got from the front. No, not really a lot of lights on this, is there? Even our beacon's not flashing. Oh no, hang on, the beacon on the tail, that's flashing. So we should be legal now at least. Don't need any anti-ice. Are definitely on. I would have thought, oh yeah, we've got the strobes on, we don't really want on at this point, but we'll just cope with that for now. then we'll do a quick radio call. So today we are Golf Romeo India Charlie Hotel. We are rich people. So, whereabouts are we? Nice. Nice traffic, Golf Romeo India Charlie Hotel, Cessna Citation 750 at stand 1 Echo, taxiing to holding point for runway 04 left via uniform. Nice. There we go. Forgot where we were. I was going to say Monaco. It's not Monaco, is it? So first thing we're going to do is turn off the brakes. Check both ways. Kids, look both ways before you cross the street. Same applies to taxiing a multi-million-dollar jet. So we'll just gently feed in the power. We don't want to set off too sportily, even though we have been down here watching the Grand Prix. We don't want to bring any of that sporty driving with us on the taxiways. I'm going to take the first left-hand taxiway onto uniform. Quite a distance out from here to the runway. See there, the taxiway is branching off to the left. So this is Golf. And then a right turn onto uniform. So you do lose a bit of speed as you turn the aircraft. So normally you'll find just a little bit of power being added. The same is true on airliners. You'll find exactly the same as you go around corners. The pilot will just add a little bit of a boost. So this was showing as uniform, and that looks like a backwards or an upside down U on the taxiway, so I think we're in the right place. Steering on this is so much faster than the A330-900, which we've been struggling with recently. So yeah, we are not using auto-ortho for this flight. I'm afraid we're stuck with default scenery, but right now it seems absolutely fine. The sky looks gorgeous. It's a bit gloomy dark, which is what it's actually, the sun is set now. There is no, I don't think there's any sun here. It's set behind those mountains over there. So we are in the shade, but once we take off, we may actually get a sunrise. I hope we do, because that would be quite cool. Quite cool to see. So that one is Foxtrot. Whereabouts were we going again? We are here. We want to hang a left onto Whiskey, which may also be Charlie 2. Just stay vigilant. So we've also got a text message here saying LFMN air traffic, push and start stand 44. So somewhere out there we have another nerd like myself flying from Nice Airport on a Sunday evening. And I've turned off the labels as well, so we'll have to rely on strobes and, not strobes, beacons. And that looks like nav lights are on, so probably that aircraft there, the American Dreamliner. Could be a 777 actually, not one. Probably getting a little bit sporty in the taxiway here, but that's okay, because I said so. So it's the next left. You can see the flashing light on the left-hand side, which is probably where we want to be. Just going to cheat a little bit and just make sure there's nothing incoming. Doesn't look like anything's incoming, but I didn't want to spoil anybody's flight. So we will say, we'll do a quick radio call. Nice traffic, Golf Romeo India Charlie Hotel, crossing runway 04 left onto Whiskey, Nice. Ran out of nose wheel steering authority there. quickly check both ways. I'll do it that way. Just want to make sure as well that these settings are set correctly for the audio. Yep. So this is whiskey. This is going to take us right the way to the end. Could take off from an intersection. It's not like we're a 777 American heading across the pond. We're just heading across to France. It's 2,000 meters. Tourer takeoff run available, which is the ground run. So we are going to put flaps to 5. We should then see on the flaps indicator down here, which we don't. We need to go down another level. That's flap 5. Still got the APU on. Because we've got the engine generators on, so I'm going to choose to go off this one. No, I'm not. I'll go right at the end. So if anybody needs to, they can just take off slightly early if I'm holding them up. Shouldn't be the case. So we don't have any V speeds yet, so we'll see if we can put the V speeds in. There's 04 right, there's the Mediterranean Sea, looking stunning. What do we need to do? We need to set up our autopilot. So we want to be in nav mode, VNav mode, but not turn on the autopilot yet. What about throttle? Okay, so it's Airbus style throttle, so once we put it into the toga setting, that should take us up the climb, and then we'll put it into, or put it in the climb mode after takeoff. Altitude select. Okay, so what's our altitude on there? 1,000. Not sure how you're supposed to change that and see it at the same time. So we're going to come down to here and try and be creative. So that is, oh goodness me, what was that one again? This is a very silly system. That's altitude select, that's course and heading. Okay, so go down. We're trying, that's better. So let's run 5,000. Take this up to an initial climb altitude of 340. That's quite a lucky stop though, wasn't it? So we've got flaps are in flaps 5. We've got VNav and nav armed. Do we have navigation source correct? Still don't have V speeds, so if I go into performance, take off, confirm init, is there somewhere in here that I can set V speeds? 125, 126, 138. So V speeds are now showing, TCAS is off. Whereabouts is my transponder? With TCAS on it, so I think we're just going to turn it on through the X-Pilot window. I'm just going to put it on the peak outside. Controlling anybody else online. Nobody else can do that way. Still nothing on approach. It's going to be a gorgeous night to fly. I'm ready just to fly, so let's go. East traffic, Golf Romeo India Charlie Hotel, lining up and departing runway 04 right. Nice.
East traffic, American 747 Heavy taxiing Charlie Whiskey to runway 04 right, Nice.
Great job, American. Good radio call. American 747. Even though it looks like it's a 777. I probably would have done exactly the same thing. So, we've now got, I'm just going to bring this onto here so it's easier. Heels on the floor. Got a red light, so I'm going to abort the takeoff. It's saying no takeoff. Why is it saying no takeoff? Have we got the...
Traffic Golf Juliet Bravo Tango Echo for the helicopter apron, Nice.
Why is it saying no takeoff? No. Who's here? Am I going to regret this if I take off? Probably. What's it doing or what's it not doing? It's not the parking brake, but we'll put that on just for a moment. Seatbelt signs are on. Ah! We've got no passenger oxygen on. Is that it? So if I... Still saying no takeoff. It's not giving me any indication why.
East traffic American 747 heavy crossing runway 4 left on Charlie. The aircraft on final priority. Hello, East traffic, LAL 223, final on 04 left, East traffic. How many miles out, do you think? 3 miles out. Alright, we'll hold short American 747. Thank you, sir.
There's 137 knots for rotation speed. The aircraft's already going. I wonder if that's because we were out of trim allowance. So vertical speed, gear up. Put the flaps up. And then if I engage the autopilot, should follow that magenta line, but it doesn't seem to be in the right mode. Still seems to be in
East traffic American 747 heading now crossing runway 04 left on Charlie. Runway 04. Yes.
So I am going to turn to the right myself. The setup.
East traffic runway 04 left is located, LAL 223 taxiing to the stand.
Climb rate on this thing is just obscene. 7,000 feet per minute. Let's bring it down a bit. We don't need to be climbing like a homesick angel. Bring the power back into the climb detent. So hoping that's now going to... I want to say VOR. VOR is not what I want that to say. I want it to say FMS1. There we go. That's more like it. 34,000 feet. Nav mode. FMS. That looks more like it. That looks much healthier. So we should be turning left to get back on course here. Which we are. So just doing it very slowly because of the very rich people in the back would like a nice, gentle ride.
Aircraft American 747 Heavy taking off runway 04, battery Alpha departure,
feet.
Nice.
Need a tail floodlight eye there. So we should be over the Mediterranean now, heading south, even though our actual destination is to the north. This is just to keep all the noise of these business jets away from the other rich people in Monaco. Now we're pretty high up, we should be pretty good. So we're just going to keep turning right. And we'll start to head north in a moment. So that master alert that we got, don't know what that was for. We seem to be okay for now. I do want to keep an eye on pressurization. So differential pressure, current cabin altitude times 1,000 feet, so it's currently just coming at 2,000 feet and we are well above that, so that's good. So the differential is around about 4, which is fine. Cabin altitude is increasing at a much lower rate than slightly lower rate than the aircraft's altitude is increasing. Wow, look at that view outside. Who needs all the water? Pretty stunning. So this is actually just one of the latest speeder version. It's got a bit more jaggedy edge stuff going on here. The anti-aliasing has been absolutely spot on the last few versions. It seems to have progressed very slightly. It's always nice to see. Very nice. Okay, so let's just check. We are following our flight plan. Just zoom out a bit more. Going to head to the north. All looking good. Engine parameters are all in the green. Flaps are up. Well done me for remembering that. I don't usually. So we're doing 200 knots at the moment, slowly accelerating up to 270. Our speed... I know what's wrong. So I have reduced this down to a level that's not one of the detents. So this should be in the climb detent, which is there. It gives a bit more power. You can see we're accelerating, we're climbing faster, but I don't think, does it say anywhere if we are in a detent? Cruise, that's the cruise detent, so I need to go a little bit further forward to the climb detent. Climb, there we go. So we've got a big burst of N1, get more speed, better climb rate, that's looking much healthier there. And the stab trim is just adjusting to accommodate the new climb rate. Perfect. Aircraft is flying very nicely. So, LSGG, which I think is Geneva, is that right?
Please traffic easy, intrinsic Alpha inbound on the orange.
Geneva arrival, so we don't need that one. So Geneva Centre, No. So they will be no factor for us right now. Told you we're getting the sunrise. There it is. Getting the sunset as well. Let's check our map. So that was our route. So we went around that way. So round about here, where I tried to figure out which map mode, which navigation mode we were in. It's about here that I got it right. And then we are now flying over the mountains here. These are the Alps? I guess they must be. So we've got some traffic ahead. On the whole, looks pretty good. Is that a Spitfire? Maybe, maybe not. Very quiet with the engines being at the back. Oh, that's lovely over there. Let me just pop outside. Get rid of this view, which I can't do when I'm outside. Or can I? Oh yeah, it's got an X on it. There we go. Look at that. No injected scenery, just a good default scenery engine. Yep, would be better with auto, but that is really not bad for a default scenery. Tell me if I'm smoking my own supply here. Do we have the ability to see other traffic on here? Traffic, yes. Oh, I can see the terrain as well, which is good, but no, let's stay to traffic. Vertical profile, that's nice. So we can see where we are against our expected climb rate and vertical position. Do you still want to see the traffic? There's a little diamond down there, which I think maybe either an airport. Just turning down the volume when we went outside before. This is pretty good. Just turning here, so Badard is the exit point of our standard instrument departure. And then we've got our filed flight plan beyond. The top of climb is just beyond Badard, so we should be approaching flight level 340 here, which we are. And we should be on a standard pressure setting. So if I press standard on there, standard pressure setting. A bit of a cloud layer.
Traffic American 747 Heavy passing level 100, departing at the northwest final call on east.
Final call. Okay, so we're approaching Badard. Let's be good pilots. And so Badard is about 10 miles away. I just want to cross-check. Our expected fuel on board is 5.8 tons at Badard. Let's just see where we are. So 5.8 is what we expected, and it's 5.78 on board now. So we're slightly ahead of the plan by 20 pounds, I guess. But that's okay. We've got contingency. you always take a little bit extra in case there's a headwind or you just get your planning slightly incorrect. Gorgeous going through the top layers of the clouds here. Oh, got a bing bong. APU still on. Thank you for reminding me. Let's just, before we turn it off, let's just double check. So we have got right hand generator is on, left hand generator is on. Those ignitions are off. We don't need standby power. Do we? I don't think we do. I guess we'll soon find out. And then what we can do is we can head over here to the APU panel. We can now switch off the APU generator and the aircraft hasn't suddenly stopped. And then we can stop the APU. There we go, spinning down. And then we can just turn the master off. Okay, there we go. So we should now have nothing on here. So deactivate the master caution. That's just saying that we're 1,000 feet away from our desired altitude, which is correct. Okay, Francie, we're looking pretty gorgeous today. So that's our top of climb. I think is the green line our trend line? So I think as we start to lower the nose and our vertical speed reduces, yep, we can now see our trend line is going down towards 34,000 feet. That's really nice. That is a really nice bit of programming right there. So we're just climbing a little bit. That makes it really obvious, much more obvious like that than just a little tweak of the vertical speed indicator down here. So yeah, I really like that. PS rat heat off. Right. What does that mean? I'm guessing it's going to be somewhere here. What is a rat heat? Rat is the ram air turbine, but it might mean something completely different on this aircraft. Pitot heat. Windscreen air. Oh, one of those has got rid of it, so let's put the put these back off. Yeah, that's what I want. Just want pitot static heat on. That makes sense. I don't know why it's calling it the rat. Wow, look out there. And the sunlight on the windows here. Reduce the volume just a bit while I jump outside. Yes, I'm getting screenshots because look at that. That could be real, couldn't it? If you squint a bit. I mean, the shadows are a bit rubbish, but it's probably a setting for me to change those so you can see the pilots. Hey, how are you doing? Very cool. They very much look like business jet pilots, don't they? So we should have traffic on here. Let's zoom out a bit. Oh yeah, so the diamonds are is the traffic. Do have mode Charlie on. Just want to make sure I am as visible as possible here. So yeah, here we are. Put the volume back up again so it's a bit more normal, a bit more natural. Nice river or a stream cutting through the mountains just there. And I'm still on climb power, so you can see our speed is pretty high. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put us into cruise power, there. You can see our speed, desired speed is, I think it's dropped to 300 knots. We have some traffic ahead. Actually quite busy. Keep an eye on it. Okay, I am going to go on mute while I have a quick drink, and I'll be back in a moment. See you shortly. Still in a can of generic cola drink from the flight attendant looking after our wealthy guests today. So whereabouts are we in the world? We've just crossed the Alps. There's Leversud just there. About a cross between Lyon Tracon, terminal control. Yeah, we don't say Tracon in the UK, to the best of my knowledge. Near Grenoble, which is a great skiing spot. Got Chambéry to the north. We've got Swiss coming in from the northeast. Got Bron Tower there. Saint Etienne. Yeah, looking good. Let's keep our eyes peeled and see if we can see some of the traffic. Looks like we've got some aircraft off to our right here. About 25 miles away. See if we can spot them. That looks like a trail, doesn't it? Yep, you can just see the aircraft there. A strange kind of turn. There should be another one there. There it is. Don't know if it's common to take binoculars into the cockpit, but if I was a real pilot, I would totally do that. So, we are actually approaching LFBB Bordeaux Control. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to map.vatsum.net and just see if that's going to be on our route. And it is. So, where are we? Ah, there we are. No, so we are going to be to the right of Bordeaux Control. Sharp turn. We've just got a Danish or a Dutch EDGG. It must be Denmark, yeah. We've got any actual centres online on our route. Okay, let's see if we can do a climb, because we aren't flying as efficiently as we could. The progress page. Somewhere in here that gives us our optimal altitude. Performance, cruise altitude 340. I would have thought it would have given us some indication of optimal altitude, but it's not. Anyhow, okay, so we'll go back to flight plan. There was a point at which it was saying we needed to make a step climb anyhow. Bullall is still 340, Yadavo is 340, Bagby 340, Scissor 340, and then at Lowley we are going to do a climb to flight level 40. I really hope that hasn't just inferred I'm at 400 feet there. There we go, flight level 400. And then Bry is actually showing 430. So we're going to wait until we get to no. So what we need to do is change our cruise altitude, target cruise altitude, to 43,000 feet. Which apparently we can't do. What if we just say 430? Doesn't work either. Not helpful. Cruise. Flying. Nope. altitude select. Oh, you shouldn't have to. You should be able to do it in a managed way, so performance connect. Initial cruise altitude can now change that to 430. Oops, hang on, duplicated. I've got curve. Climb. That's now saying 430. That's good. This is now saying climb. So I need to, I guess, go down here, do this scoochie down, try to increase the altitude here. 430, which is there. And then come up here, turn off VNav, turn VNav back on. And then if I put this forward into climb mode, that should then take us up to 430. So just push the throttles forward into the climb detent. Now one of the reasons why that's a good thing is you won't find as much traffic at flight level 430. And when we're pretty much flying uncontrolled, because there's no controllers on our route, we're effectively flying visual here. We don't have any controllers to open an IFR flight plan with, so I just want to kind of get us out of the way of as much traffic as possible. All the airliners will be down at this altitude, like 370, while us and all of our BizJet buddies will be about 400 and above. So we quickly check to make sure that our cabin altitude is where it needs to be. It's getting pretty steady there, isn't it? It's around about 7,500 feet. It's about normal. So we are currently squawking 7,000. We shouldn't be squawking 7,000 because we are in Class A airspace. We should be. Oh no, don't do that. No, that's fine. 3,000. There we go. Right. ATC on. 2,000. Come on. Leave it off in case we get any kind of duplication. That all looks good. Sun's quite high in the sky. The more north we're getting. We may not actually get another sunset here. Which might sound a bit strange, but it's not that we're travelling faster than the speed of the sun across the ground. You'd have to fly in Concorde to do that. But because it's summer in the north, the sun is kind of heading towards the north, so it's got to travel a lot further distance through the air, as we have to travel on the ground to sort of keep it above the ground. So the sun is effectively in much higher latitudes in the summer, northern latitudes. So we're getting the benefit of that as we head even further north than the track that the sun is going over, which is the Tropic of Cancer. So that's the aircraft telling us that we're approaching 430. That's correct. Well, speed is looking healthy, so indicated airspeed is around 250 knots. Our Mach number is .859, so nearly .86. There we go. So 85 to 86% of the speed of sound. Pretty quick. So I ended up, oh, where's he gone? Austin's disappeared from the chat, that's weird. He was at the bathroom. I ended up in a Wikipedia rabbit hole last night about, oh, you're gonna think I'm such a nerd, about general relativity, and I was thinking, so I've just mentioned the speed of sound, and that's what kind of got me onto this. So sound is effectively the speed at which the atoms will transfer pressure through a material, a substance, a fluid. Which the speed of sound is how fast you can do that through air. And if you exceed that, then you start to get strange behaviours like supersonic sonic booms and supersonic shock waves and those sorts of things. And what I was thinking is, what the speed of light is the limiting factor in the universe. We all know that. But I was thinking, could you ever cheat the speed of light by building like a big metal pole between the Earth and Mars, and sort of move it around so that it instantly moves at the other end the same distance, and that would effectively give you the ability to communicate faster than the speed of light, because light from Mars I think takes, I don't know, minutes to get back from Mars, half an hour, something like that. So would that even work? Well, the speed of light is like 300 kilometers per second, 300,000 kilometers per second, and the fastest substance, the substance with the fastest speed of sound, which is like how fast the atoms will allow you to bump into each other to transmit a signal, is actually metallic hydrogen. And if you were to build one of these poles between the Earth and Mars, made out of metallic hydrogen, and somebody pushed the other end wouldn't move instantaneously, which is a shock to me anyway, because well, intuitively I would say, you would expect it to instantly move on the other end, but in fact there is our view of what rigid means is actually sort of not quite right, because rigid is only the speed that these atoms will move through a substance. Now through metallic hydrogen, those atoms do move quite fast. The signal would travel at 36,000 kilometers per second, I think. I'm going to have to get my figures shortly, but it said it would be days and days before that movement would actually be detected on Mars, whereas light would just take minutes to get there. So again, that way you could never exceed the speed of light, and in that situation you might as well just send a radio message. Obviously radio does travel at the speed of light. So yeah, speed of sound. Now what was interesting, what I'm now thinking is, we can go supersonic through air, why can't we go supersonic through metallic hydrogen? So I think after this flight I'm going to speak to a local physicist that I know, who I just happen to be married to, and I'll go and ask her how that works. There you go, an insight into our marriage and the stuff we talk about. So let's just have a good look here. So the current clock is 1852 Zulu. So just going to be 8 o'clock local UK time. If I go into progress, estimated time en route is 1 hour 14 minutes, and we'll land with 2.4 tons of fuel. So we will have burned just under 5 tons getting up to Newcastle. We are actually, I've just noticed, we are now flying at Mach decimal 91%, 91% of the speed of sound. Realise that the brand of these navigation systems is X-Plane Well, clearly ripped off from Honeywell, who build aviation systems. Okay, so up ahead we're going to cross Lawley, we're then going to do a left-right, head up to LFPG, which is Charles de Gaulle Airport at Paris. A little bit further than that, we'll be out over the channel, and then we'll start heading up the UK. Look, you can see the rays of light on the clouds, so that's quite nice. Interestingly, if I just hide X-Pilot for just a moment, gone, and then go up to View, I do have the option to wear sunglasses. There we go. And that now just makes everything a little bit less glary, easier to see. Very nice. Clearly not polarised glasses, because I can just see these screens just fine. So we are lined up on all our magenta lines. Flight mode enunciated as LNAV and VALT, which is correct. Current track is 330. Lawley is 30 nautical miles away. We are pretty rock solid in the air at flight level 430. Good. An EasyJet up ahead. EasyJet Europe. Showing up on here. Bring the range right down. Be one of those there. No, that's right in front of us. Let's see it. Peculiar. So we've got Lawley coming up in 15 nautical miles. We're going to do a quick fuel check. So before I look at our actual fuel, I'm going to go to the PDF. Lawley 4.5 tons of fuel, 4.3 tons of fuel here. So we are ahead of our fuel plan. Now we have just climbed again, climbed a little bit early, and we should be a bit more efficient up here at a higher altitude. So we should start to catch up our plan soon, hopefully. Sorry, I keep knocking my microphone. Yeah, going pretty well. Let's come on up with the fuel. Even if we land with 2.3 tons of fuel, which is what our current estimation is looking like. 2.4 tons of fuel, 481 miles to go, 1 hour 7 minutes. 2.5 tons of fuel is fine. Nice water effect going on down there. And then suddenly not. Just loading something in. Wonder, can I set up a fix on nav? No, I was going to set up a fix on Charles de Gaulle Airport and just monitor our progress towards that, but instead of doing that, I'll just do it on here. So we're heading up to Charles de Gaulle Airport there, very busy, lots of aircraft inbound. That'll be a good time for a quick drink. I'll be back in a few moments. I'm monitoring the screen. So I've just tweaked the volume a little bit. Had a quick listen to the look, the shadows, gorgeous. Had a quick listen to the stream and thought the white noise of the engines was actually making it quite hard to hear me over. Not that I'm the most important thing about this, but yeah, at least if I'm speaking, I want you to be able to hear me. That could so easily be a real photo. Apart from these horrible screws. The outside part, at least. That there. That right there. Got some good French scenery down there. Some rivers and stuff. Those little sort of solo cloudy wispy bits as well. You see like these bits, like the dangling bits of cloud, that looks so much more realistic than what we used to see in X-Plane 12. Sometimes it's fantastic like this. Proper thermocline layer where the temperature is it changes just enough, or stops changing enough that you stop getting the cloud layer. Like the tropical pause. Still making good time. Less than an hour to go. Where are we in relation to LFPG? Just ahead. You've got LFPO as well. I think that's Orly, Paris Orly Airport. We should in a moment. So that's 25 miles. We should start to see, if we can see through the clouds, we'll start to see Paris out of our window just here. Through there somewhere. So both the engines are looking pretty good. Pretty stable. Similar numbers across them both. That's what you want to see. And that's both failing, of course. So we've got an aircraft over here at flight level 450 and climbing by the looks of things. Don't know what on earth that is. It must be a business jet. That's all you'll find at this altitude. A lot of aircraft 8,000 feet below. Flight level 350, another one over there. Have a quick look on the VATSIM radar. Yep, so the aircraft at flight level 450 is NetJet 7 Lima Juliet. Flight level 450, flown by Oscar Martinez, going from Rotterdam to Angelou LFBU. Don't know that one. It's not an airport I'm familiar with. So we've now got Paris just out of our window, but I've got a horrible feeling these clouds are going to prevent us from seeing it. down there. Down through that gap. Somewhere. Oh, nightmare. Zut alors. Je ne sais pas. Actually, just thinking, I haven't popped X-Pilot on your screen for a little while. So we've got Amsterdam, got Bordeaux, got Denmark. I think there's Newcastle on here. No. I am always surprised how agrarian it is around Charles de Gaulle Airport. You fly in low over the farms. If you're landing towards the west, at least. And I always seem to sit on the right hand side. Maybe completely different on the left. I imagine it would be. So at this point we're still keeping an active lookout. We're still uncontrolled. Just like all the other aircraft in this region. Still chasing the sun, so we're going to make a left turn and head more towards the sun in just a moment. At Vesan. Just a little bit further north than that we've got the channel. There you go, so you can see the blue of the sea. Come back to that view in a moment. Just want to keep the traffic on for now. In fact, what we could do is keep the traffic on this one and keep the terrain on that one. And then zoom out. Oh, zooming in. There you go. There's the north of France, south of England. And again, if we can get a view through these clouds, we should start to see the channel, some of the sea. Quite a lot of traffic over here to the east. So 45 minutes left. Our fuel is increasing. Estimated fuel on board at the point of arrival is increasing, I should say. 329 miles left. 4 miles to Vesan, our next waypoint. Now I still think, yeah, the shadows are pretty good, but I think I would expect to see all of this lit up because the sun's right there. This is now overhead Vesan. We are going to start heading towards, what does that say? Ratuk? Batuk? Ratuk. I'm going to head much more into the sun. Still no Austin. What's going on with these shadows? Graphics, shadow quality. Might as well increase that. Because we're getting such high frame rates. Thanks to the new dynamic, multi-core rendering pipeline. Nope, that's done very little. Need to play around with that. So you've lost about 10 frames per second. You can see the top left there. We've lost about 10 frames per second by improving the shadow quality. But I haven't really seen a huge difference. You need to play around with things like ambient occlusion settings and things like that. So you can see from our left screen, from the co-pilot ND navigation display, we're about to go feet wet across this channel just here. There we go. And LFAT is Litoke. That's quite famous because when you pass your PPL in the UK, Litoke is almost like a milestone, a ceremony. It's your first international flight. A lot of UK private pilots go to Litoke, get some lunch, and then fly back into the UK and say, "Yep, I've done an international flight on my license now." Lots and lots of cloud cover. Just looking out my window, it's pretty accurate for the north of England. So we are just about to go over the channel. So EGKK is Gatwick, you've got EGLL Heathrow just to the north. EGSS is Stansted. What else do we have on here? There should also be Southend somewhere. Don't know if that's it off to the right there. But I think at this point, if there's any issues with the engines or any medical emergencies, we would probably look to land in Stansted. There we go, around about the midpoint. Already in the London control zone. London control area. You've got X-Pilot, but I don't have X-Pilot on my screen. There we go. Let's just see, any centres online? None in the UK. We've got Shanwick. South approach for Edinburgh, not Edinburgh, Manchester, Birmingham. DF, is that Frankfurt? Langen radar. EGKK, Gatwick. Amsterdam. Schiphol. Yeah, nothing in the UK. So, private flying then. You don't have to rub shoulders with the plebs. You fly higher, more rarefied air, of course. Less traffic, less turbulence, less weather. You fly faster, so you get to your destinations sooner, ahead of the riffraff. Yeah, you can see the appeal. Just need a few £1,000s per hour of flying to pay for the privilege. Is it really worth paying £10,000 for the extra few knots of speed over an EasyJet flight back from Nice? Personally, I would say no, but then don't usually have the option of flying private. So if you do, then congratulations, you're winning at life. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I think the shadows do look really good. I just don't think they're necessarily completely realistic. There's a lot of shadow there right under the sun, but maybe there is just a shelf of cloud there. I'm sure there'll be a reason why that cloud is being drawn as being in shadow. Okay, so we are really motoring across the UK now, heading up towards Southend at EGMC. And if we go to the flight plan, let's just see where we'll be starting our arrival. So, Rimto. Let's see, okay, so I think if we go to nav, arrival, okay, so it's already in. Rimto 2 November, arrival for runway 25. Landing, didn't do anything. Got 34 minutes left. When is our top of climb? Top of descent? Stoat, Mowgli, and then descent is around there, so Betax. Stoat, Mowgli, and then Betax, and then we'll start our way down. Sun is still pretty high in the sky. So it's 8:30 local time here in the UK. And this time of year the sun never really sets completely, not in the north of England and in Scotland. The sky to the north is always quite brightly lit. Gotta land this thing yet. So, is there performance descent? Landing. So you would think, there we go, here we go, density altitude 504. V approach 120, V ref 115. So we'll be approaching at 120 knots. And the V ref is 115. So 115 is effectively the approach speed, but we're adding 5 knots just for any sort of wind. Somebody's broadcasting on Unicom. Let's turn off the airports, turn off the VORs. That's Heathrow. Stepping all over each other. See all the aircraft. That one there's above us.
Traffic, Limits 5 Delta Mike, Kilometer, depart runway 22, ID Tower 1, runway departure, Stansted. Which version for Yankee, which version? 0 to Yankee, I'm turning right in, please, to avoid this way.
I'm just going to say there's a way I could change the volume from here. I don't see one. Ah, I've got our landing lights down here. That makes sense. Okay. Good to know for landing. So 10 miles to Stoat, 20 miles to Mowgli. Does this give us a top of descent indication? Yes, TD. Very good. Quite impressed with this.
5 Delta Mike, climb through 1,500 feet, detail for runway departure, Stansted.
Especially considering it's completely default, out of the box with X-Plane. Might be able to see. So there's Heathrow. Yep, you can see a string of aircraft, different headings and stuff. Don't know what that one's doing. Seems to be reversing into Heathrow. That one's probably not landing here. Might be though. Lining up for runway 27 left. cool. Quite a lot of like a impression of depth from those clouds. Okay, so we have our top of descent at the top of the ND. That's around about 70-75 miles out. I think now's a good time to visit the gents, and then we are fully focused on the landing, which may or may not be a disaster. We'll find out in a moment. Okay, no excuses now. So it's 50 miles top of descent. You can see on the vertical profile. But I think I'm going to have to do that stupid thing again, where I come down here. I have to figure out how to treat this like a first-person shooter, sort of, and then wind this back to 3,000 feet. There. I don't know what a cell means. What does that mean? Altitude select. Ah. Obviously. So here, as we go along to the top of descent, you can see the altitude and the points at which we'll cross those waypoints, which is quite cool. And also the altitude will cross them at. So top of descent 43,000 feet. Upton at 38,594, I think that is. That's very precise. So we're going to get to Betax in 2 minutes. Estimated time en route to Betax is 2. And then, will it give me Mammal as my next waypoint, or will it give me top of descent as my next waypoint? I hope it will give me top of descent, because that is legitimately a waypoint in the flight. Quite an important one, clearly. So 5 miles to Betax, 35 seconds, it's 7 miles per second. Hot mic. Not me. That just means somebody's left transmitting when they shouldn't be. So, yep, it's gone straight to mammal, not top of descent. Cold mic. Oh, the comedian's offline this evening. So, as we approach top of descent, freezing mic, we are going to turn off VNAV and then press VNAV again. Now, will this do anything until I change this to idle or cruise? What do you think it needs to be? So we're currently flying on climb. So we're now in cruise. Here's top of descent. Just double checking my transmit isn't on green, which is good. So LNAV VNAV path I think means, because it's no longer V alt, it's V path, that should now be ready for a descent. I think I have to change the throttle mode. I'm just going to wait until we've definitely gone past that, and then I'm going to try and bring back the fans. I'm looking at the word fan here. Bring back. So that should be idle. Speed is dropping. I don't feel like there we go. Yeah, looks like it's following a vertical path there now. So we've now got a green line following or paralleling-ish the original path. Descending with a bit of bank. Just make sure that that's correct. Yep, so Mammal, we're going to make a right turn up to Upton. Then Batley, which I think is in Leeds, Rimto. So it looks like at some point we are going to catch up with our planned descent rate. Fully idle, so the throttle's all the way back in the idle detent. We can, if we wish, use a little bit of air brakes, which will help us catch up. But actually I would prefer to just keep an eye on the speed. Speed's alright at the moment. Descent rate is quite high, so we're doing 6,000 feet per minute descent, which is quite high. Don't know how that sort of angle is going to feel like to passengers. So we'll just keep this here because I reckon the aircraft is going to try and get our green trend line back on the vertical path. And I think in order to do that, it's going to have to raise the nose slightly in a moment. So we're doing 2,600 feet per minute. And you can see our speed is reducing. I think I will need to intervene with a reducing speed by bringing the N1, N2 turbine speeds up a bit. Coming back down the cloud layer, this is where we probably will see the sunset. So we are bang on that vertical path now. Now because the flight management system is suggesting 270 knots as our descent speed, I'm just going to add a little bit of throttle, a little bit of power into the system. So as we pass into flight level 300, you can see we're starting to get in amongst the traffic again. We can prepare our nav. So we want 111.5 on both sides, 111.5, that's the ILS for Newcastle. Flip flop. And we need to set the course, which is all the way down here again, which is a bit silly, and we need 246 on the course. Will we need 246 on the course, or can we rely on some kind of RNAV path type approach? No idea. Changing that doesn't really do anything, so I think we're just going to rely on GPS navigation all the way down to the final approach, and then we'll just manually fly it. I say we, me, but we're all responsible if I crash, all of us. So right now, still descending, 2,000 feet, that's a comfortable descent rate. Before it was crazy, you would never see a 6,000 foot per minute descent rate. You just add track miles, which is my preferred way of catching up with your vertical path. Still no controllers. So bang on the lateral nav, bang on the vertical nav, bang on speed. Coming through a intermediate layer of cloud. A bit of rain, you can see the precipitation passing past us. quite common to find these layers of cloud. If you fly regularly, you'll have seen this before. So there was an upper layer of cloud, a middle layer of cloud, and then you've got this cumulus fluffy cloud on the lowest layer. So we will see probably a little bit of movement in the aircraft as it gets as we travel through some of the layers of cloud. But unless we're in cloud, it seems pretty stable, which is nice. So our descent rate has picked up a little bit. Just have a quick look and see where we are in terms of... So it looks like our flight plan actually finishes at Etsy's in 25 miles. So that's just a strange cloud. Looks like the start of a tornado. No thank you. So Etsy's, and then it doesn't look like we do have a proper arrival baked in. So runway 25, Rimto 2 November. We'll do an RNAV 25. I don't know what any of these two are. Asgeb and Upmop. What the flippin' Nora are those? Upmop is there. Asgeb is to the north, so Upmop is the one that we want. Upmop, Rimto 2 November. GNT star, Rimto 2 November. Activate and hope that this doesn't break everything. Yeah, oh, goodness me. This is going to take us all the way back to... So yeah, get rid of all this, let's reset our next waypoint. Let's just go direct Etsy's. Go direct Etsy's. And then can we delete? I don't really want to try deleting the discontinuity. So we're going direct Etsy's and then to Upmop. How do I move Upmop? Upmop to there. That's now joined up the path. The aircraft's having all sorts of fun trying to get back on course. So vertical path is now below us, so this is now trying to chase it. I'm going to pull the throttles all the way back. I think at this point we probably will need a little bit of speed brake. That's now allowing us to do a slower descent. Because it's giving us a chance to reduce our speed. Okay, so we're now back on vertical profile. You can see the pink diamond is moving up to the middle. And this green trend line should then shift in just a moment to point towards Upmop. Looking a little bit grim here. Let's just see what our ETA 11 minutes. So what's our current clock? So that is 5505. So as it reduces its descent rate, I'm just adding a bit more throttle. Newcastle traffic, Golf Romeo India Charlie Hotel, Cessna Citation 750, crossing Etsy's at flight level 100, inbound for landing runway 25, ETA minute 11, minute 05, Newcastle. So, everybody should be aware now that we are coming into land. That will be landing at about 5 minutes past the hour. We're at Etsy's, even gave a vertical position indication, which is very unlike me. But now as we descend through 10,000 feet, there's a few things that we need to do. Our lights need to go back on, our seatbelts need to go back on, need to get our landing lights on as well. Hop outside just for a second. Not the brightest of landing lights, or of floodlights on the tail. Yes, quite gloomy looking. Reduce the range on the nav display. And does this have an approach mode? It does. The approach mode is there. We'll switch into that. So we'll have to switch this from FMS into nav mode, VOR1, because we've got all of our radio, but we are doing the RNAV approach, so we'll just let the aircraft manage it. And at some point I'll switch off the autopilot and do my best not to crash the plane. No guarantees. I'll throttle back just a little bit because we're getting a bit fast. You see the Tyne, River Tyne out of our window just here. This is where the default scenery lets itself down. It's not great. It would be nice to use a bit of auto, but for now I'm going to optimize for a simulator that doesn't crash. So, still at 7,000 feet, this is pretty high. Still says that we're on the VNAV path. But I would expect us to be around 5,000 feet. So on that base leg there, we should be going from 3,000 feet to 2,200 feet, and I think it must be the initial fix there is 2,200 feet. We need to be descending faster than this. So up mop, you can see yes, the rate of descent does increase, and we'll be 2,600 feet by Supig, which is that turn there. That seems much more reasonable. So once we get to Upmop, we'll start to see the vertical speed go from 550 feet per minute to a steeper descent, so perhaps 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 feet per minute. And out over the North Sea, this is quite nice when you're flying back for real. You get to look out for St Mary's Lighthouse, which is a good visual indicator. That looks to me like Sunderland's. That's Roker Pier, I think. That may actually be Tynemouth. No, I think that's Roker Pier, and then we've got Tynemouth a bit further up. And we'll be turning in just north of Tynemouth. And the airport should just be over there somewhere. Or maybe that's Blythe and we've already passed Tynemouth. That's probably more likely. We are way too high. Way too high. I am going to take this off autopilot. Go to idle. I'm going to solve this issue where we do seem to be hugely high. And if I can't resolve it, which I think I'm not going to be able to resolve this because there's the airport there. What we're going to do is we're going to descend to 3,000 feet. Use a little bit of elevator trim to get the nose down. We're going to stay at 3,000 feet. And we are going to do an orbit to the right, so stay out of the way of arriving traffic from the south. Now let's just do an orbit here. Actually, sorry, I fancy my chances. I'm going to be reckless. Gear down. I think I can salvage this. Sorry for the squeaking joystick. So we're at full flaps. That doesn't look low to me.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Whoa. just a couple of ounces. That was not a good display of pitch management on my part there, but we are down. And at Newcastle, we put our private jets over here, darling, over on the Echo apron. So if you are bringing your private jet to Newcastle, you will be parking over here and you will get some fantastic private jet service. And the private jet terminal is just off to the right, down here. The name of the private jet place at Newcastle escapes me because I've never used it, obviously. But you do see quite a lot of footballers using it regularly. Here we are, and what we can do is we can start cutting the power to the engines, pulling the park brake on, like that, and then if I just turn on external power, even though there's none actually, does it just assume that some has been plugged in? And now turn off the generator there, we can turn off the avionics. The batteries need to come off as well. Where's the batteries? There and there. Turn that off. And jump outside, and here we are at Newcastle. Now if I disconnect from Xpilot, and if I go to flight toggle replay mode, just go back a little bit, let's just watch how we did. Ooh, that's loud. It's all looking pretty good to this point. And then I get a little bit elevator happy. And we suddenly start pitching up. Love that we've got the new tower in. The accurate tower in at Newcastle. I should have just left that there. Just held the nose there. So there we're down. There we're down again. There we're down a third time lucky. And then we open the clamshell reversers. So I think if I just held that nose up and just let it ease its way down onto the runway, that would have been a much better landing. But yeah, every flight's a learning experience, so plenty to learn from. Welcome back to Newcastle. Please keep us in mind for your future super wealthy private flying events, things, flights, whatever. Pretty happy with that. Really happy with the default Citation 750 XP. I think X-Plane is so much fun to fly, so immersive, so realistic, and just worth every penny. Thanks for flying along with me. I'll see you in the next one. Trying to find a nice picture to leave you on. That looks pretty nice. A little bit of blue sky peeking through. See you in the next flight, everyone. Have a good time.